All right, welcome to another deep dive, everyone. Today we're going to be talking all about spiritual experiences and how essential a guru can be. We're going to be drawing on this YouTube video with the title Et Shumir Entramir, Entromanencho Niasman and Bantathan Ganon, Etran Donatomanchopatan Tomakare, Kopensane Reka, Bandagin.
Sounds fascinating. I know that, at least for me personally, the idea of a guru has been hugely important in my own spiritual life, and I'm super curious to see how it's talked about here.
Yeah, me too. So are we ready to just kind of dive into this?
Yeah, let's get right into it.
Okay. Well, the video seems to start with this idea that by singing a particular song called the Gopi Geet, you can get darshan of Thakurji.
Yeah, Darshan. That's like a divine vision.
Right, a divine vision. And it sounds like the speaker describes three types of these visions.
Yeah. The first one is called Swapna Darshan.
Swapna darshan? What's that?
So Swapna Darshan is like seeing this vision in a dream. So it's like the first stage. It's considered a sign. It's presented as something that's like very joyful, that lets you know that, okay, you're on the right path.
Oh, it's like a positive sign you're making progress.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. Makes you think about like the role of dreams in a spiritual journey, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily about these big, huge, dramatic events all the time.
Right. It can be these smaller things. Okay. So the first one is Swapna Darshan,
Yeah.
which is the vision in a dream. And then the second one is called Anuhav Darshan, right?
Yeah, Anuhav Darshan. So that's like when you experience the presence of Thakurji while you're doing your regular worship,
Okay.
like through a feeling or maybe a sound.
Wow.
Very personal, very intimate.
Okay. So it's not necessarily visual. It's more of like a
Yeah, it's more subtle.
more subtle, like feeling.
Yeah. And what's so fascinating is that the speaker emphasizes like how personal it is and actually advises people to keep these experiences private and only share them with like a guru or maybe their parents.
Really? Oh, wow.
It's so interesting. It really speaks to the delicate nature of these early spiritual stirring
Right.
and how they need to be nurtured and protected.
And then the third one, the big kahuna,
Yeah, the ultimate vision.
is Sakshat Darshan.
Sakshat Darshan.
And that's the one where you have the direct
Yeah.
face-to-face vision.
Face-to-face vision.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. And there's no specific time frame given for when these visions might happen, which is kind of interesting. It might depend on the individual's devotion and their path.
Yeah.
To give an example of how powerful devotional singing can be in achieving these visions, the speaker brings up this story
Yeah.
from centuries ago about a Gop who wrote this song, and the words are, Taku Kukal.
Wow.
And it expresses this deep longing for Thakurji.
Wow.
Yeah. And here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
The speaker tells us that Thakurji himself said that this song was equal in power to the Gopi Geet,
Wow.
and that anyone who sang this song would be granted his darshan.
Amazing. I feel like it really makes you think about how powerful expressing those really deep, heartfelt emotions can be, right?
Absolutely.
It's like there's something there that allows us to connect with, something bigger than ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay, so the story goes on, and we meet Chaturbuj Das,
Oh, yeah.
son of Kumphan Das, who was living in Govardhan.
Yeah.
And he was feeling this intense separation from Thakurji. And he starts singing this very same song, right?
He composes and sings it.
He poses and sings it. And so then what happens? I'm assuming good things.
Yeah. Upon finishing the song, Srinathji appears to Chaturbuj Das, embraces him, and offers him a boon.
Oh, wow. A boon. Like anything he wants.
Like anything. Yeah, anything he desires.
Anything. Yeah, anything he desires.
Wow. So what does he ask for?
Well, instead of asking for something material or worldly.
No. Chaturbuj Das expresses that he just wants to continue experiencing darshan.
Wow.
Right. He's like, I don't need anything else. Just let me keep seeing you.
That's beautiful. So what happens?
So Thakurji is so touched by his devotion, he blesses the song and says that anyone who sings it with love and devotion will be granted darshan.
Wow. It really speaks to that, that craving for that connection, right? It seems like such a core part of the human experience.
Absolutely. The speaker then shifts focus to the Gopis
Okay.
and the power of their devotional singing and how it can actually bring about divine manifestation.
Right. The Gopis are hugely important in this tradition.
Yeah, absolutely. And they have this verse, Gahafakatai, where they're expressing their deep sorrow, but it's not just about their own pain.
Hmm.
They're also worried about Krishna's stories, the Katha, losing their meaning if he doesn't return.
Oh, that's a really interesting perspective.
Right.
They're thinking of the bigger picture.
They're thinking of the impact on everybody else.
Yeah. So it wasn't just personal grief.
Yeah.
Wow. So how does that connect with their singing then?
So the idea is that their heartfelt singing and weeping, described as skana komedia, was not just them expressing their sadness, but almost a way to keep the divine narrative alive and vibrant.
Wow. And it worked, right? I mean, Krishna returned.
It did. According to the story, their devotion, expressed through song and tears, played a role in bringing about his return.
That's fascinating.
It highlights this idea that sincere devotion can almost compel the divine to respond.
Yeah. It almost gives me chills. Okay, so what else does the speaker talk about?
So to further emphasize the power and draw of the divine presence,
Okay.
the speaker tells this story about Lord Shiva, Shankarji, who wanted to witness the Maharaj, the divine dance of Thakurji, in Vrindavan.
The Maharaj. So that was like a...
Yeah, like a huge cosmic dance. And Shiva's desire to see this was so strong that he actually left Mount Kailash, his abode.
Really? He left Mount Kailash. Wow. So even Shiva was drawn to this.
Even Shiva.
Wow.
He was so eager to see this dance that it even surprised Parvati.
Okay, so he travels all the way from Mount Kailash, and then what happens?
Well, there's a little bit of a snag.
Like a snag.
Yeah, the Gopis initially don't allow him to enter the Maharaj.
What? Why not? He's Shiva.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, right? They explain that this particular Maharaj is specifically for Yogeshwar Krishna and the Gopis.
Okay.
And anyone else who wants to participate would have to transform themselves into a Gopi.
Wow.
Even Lord Shiva. And despite his pleas, they stay firm.
They stayed firm. That's incredible. It really makes you think about those qualifications or conditions that might be required for different spiritual experiences, right?
Yeah,
Like maybe it's not just about power or status.
exactly.
So what did Shiva do?
Well, he didn't give up.
Hmm.
He went and he meditated and he sought the grace of Annapurna Devi. And she granted him her grace and adorned him with the attire of a Gopi.
Wow. So he's dressed up as a Gopi now?
Yeah, lahanga, fariya, earrings, kajal, lali, ornaments, chunari, anklets,
Wow. They gave him the whole outfit.
the full Gopi attire.
Yeah.
The speaker even mentions that his mustache was still visible beneath the nathni, which is kind of funny to imagine.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can picture that.
It's a reminder that sometimes, to connect with the divine, we might have to shed our usual ego
Right.
and embrace a different form.
That's really beautiful. Okay, so he's all decked out as a Gopi.
Yeah. And then Thakurji himself welcomes this transformed Shiva, now called Gopeshwar,
Gopeshwar.
into the Maharaj,
Wow.
highlighting how truly extraordinary this divine dance was on the banks of the Yamuna.
So beautiful.
It's said that Gopeshwar Mahadev still has a presence in Thakurji's Ras in Vrindavan to this day.
Wow. It's like a lasting legacy.
Yeah. The speaker then goes on to describe the 5 types of vihar, or divine pastimes, performed through the Ras. So we get this sense of the richness and variety of these divine interactions.
Oh, what are they?
So there's Van Vihar in the forest,
Okay.
Upan Vihar in the grove, Jal Vihar in the water, Kosanganda with flowers,
Wow.
and Thal Vihar on the land.
So many ways to experience that joy and connection. Okay, so after describing these different forms of vihar, what else does the speaker touch on?
Well, then we hear from Sri Shukracharya, who shares this really powerful idea about listening to the Maharaj with devotion. He says it's said to destroy kama, which is desire,
Yeah.
the greatest disease of the heart.
Right. And the speaker clarifies that this isn't about sensuality or anything like that. It's more about purifying ourselves from worldly desires.
Exactly.
Really makes you think about how, when we focus on the divine, we might find ourselves naturally detaching from those less meaningful pursuits.
Right. It's like shifting our priorities towards something deeper.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I think we've covered a lot of ground on that first topic of divine visions and Darshan. Yeah.
What comes next in this discourse?
So then the speaker introduces the Yugal Geet, the song of the divine couple.
The Yugal Geet. Interesting.
Yeah. It's sung by the Gopis in Seva Kunj Vrindavan. And it's distinct from the Venageet, the flute song, where each Gopi was individually remembering Thakurji.
Yeah.
In the Yugal Geet, they're all singing about his beauty together.
Wow.
Yeah. And the description of Thakurji's posture while he plays the flute is just so tender.
I'd love to hear that.
His left arm resting on his left shoulder, his left cheek touching his arm.
Hmm.
The flute raised to his lips, being played with his soft fingers.
Wow.
It paints such a peaceful and loving image,
Yeah.
really highlighting the sweetness of his presence in Braj Mandal through his music.
Beautiful. It's like you can almost picture it, right?
Absolutely.
And how does this music affect the creatures of Vrindavan?
Well, the speaker describes it beautifully. Cows, calves, and deer become so captivated by the music
Hmm.
that they just stop whatever they're doing and freeze.
Yeah, like still paintings.
Wow, they just become completely absorbed.
Yeah. It really emphasizes how profound and all-encompassing this music is, bringing peace and stillness to all beings.
So beautiful.
The speaker then describes the Kuji's Vanmali Besh, which is his forest dweller attire.
Finmali Besh.
Okay.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Yeah. It's not fancy robes or anything like that. It's more like ornaments made of leaves and grasses,
Wow.
adorning his ears, his head like a crown, his arms, waist, and ankles.
Beautiful. It's like he's one with nature.
Right. It's this beautiful connection of the divine with the natural world.
Yeah.
And the speaker shares this really charming detail about how the cows would playfully nibble at his leafy decorations.
Oh my goodness, that's so sweet.
Yeah. So endearing, right?
Yeah.
It shows this gentle and loving interaction between Thakurji and the natural world.
Yeah.
And then the Gopis decide that they want to go to Nandhavan to praise Yashoda's son, to express their admiration for him. And as they're about to go, these dark clouds start to gather, like it's about to rain.
Oh no.
Yeah. But then Thakurji starts playing his flute, and instead of raining, the clouds respond by holding back,
Wow.
showering flower-like raindrops, called Haya,
Beautiful.
or even acting like a parasol or a kin
Yeah.
to shield him from the sun.
Wow. That's powerful. It's like his music has this incredible influence over the elements.
Yeah.
Okay, so then what happens when the Gopis reach Nandhavan?
So they get to Nandhavan,
Yeah.
and they see Yashoda,
Mm.
and they ask her this very natural question, where did your son learn to play the flute so beautifully?
Yeah.
And Yashoda's answer is so simple but profound.
What does she say?
She says, Parapesianas. He learned it himself.
Wow. So it's like an innate ability.
Exactly. It's like it's just part of his divine nature.
Wow.
And then the speaker goes on to describe just how extraordinary this flute music is,
Okay.
even mentioning a specific rag called the Sanas rag. And the reactions of the deities to his playing are amazing.
Oh, wow.
Brahma is listening with all four ears,
Wow.
trying to understand the melody.
Mm.
Shiva's got all three eyes open, totally focused.
Oh.
Ganesh is there, taking note of the intricacies of all the musical notes.
Wow.
Even the sun and moon are getting confused about what time of day it is.
That's amazing.
The clouds themselves are drawn in.
So powerful. So even these incredibly powerful beings can't fully comprehend the depths of this music.
Right. It really highlights the divine and perhaps even mysterious nature of his music.
And it brings us back to that beautiful image of Thakurji in the Yugal Geet
Yeah.
as kind of like the culmination of these sweet and captivating pastimes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I feel like we've really explored the idea of darshan and these different types of divine visions.
Yeah.
But the second big topic was the importance of the guru.
Yes. And that's where the discourse really takes this significant turn. It starts focusing on the importance of having a guru or guru parampara for all of us in this current age, Kali Yuga.
So it's like moving from those experiences of the divine to actually understanding how to navigate the path toward it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the guru is introduced using this really striking analogy. The guru is like a pavro vaidyam, a physician for the disease of worldly existence.
Wow. So like a spiritual doctor.
Yeah.
What is this disease of worldly existence that they're talking about?
So the speaker calls it bavrog. And it's not just like the cycle of birth and death. It's also all these anxieties and attachments we have.
Right.
The dissatisfaction that makes us restless.
Yeah, that feeling of like being incomplete or not really knowing your
Yeah.
purpose.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so the guru can help us heal from that.
That's right. And what happens if we don't seek that treatment from a guru?
Oh. Well, that doesn't sound good.
No. Instead of a compassionate guide, we might end up being treated by Danpani, who's that Yamraj, the Lord of Death.
Oh, wow.
And that's not going to be pleasant.
No, that sounds intense.
Yeah.
So there's like the easy way and the hard way, I guess.
Yeah.
So the guru helps us avoid those more difficult experiences.
That's right.
Okay, so I have a question.
Yeah.
we talk about the soul being eternal, right?
Yeah.
The Gita says it's indestructible.
Yeah.
So what actually happens to the soul after death then?
That's a great question.
Yep.
And the speaker addresses this. They introduce the idea of a bhagde,
Okay.
which is a body that experiences the joys of heaven,
Mm-hmm.
and a yatnade,
Okay.
which is a body that experiences the torments of hell.
Wow.
And these are given to the soul based on its actions
Okay.
after the physical body is gone.
So it's not like the soul just disappears.
Right. It continues to experience,
Mm.
but in these different forms based on what it's done.
Wow. So even though the soul itself might be eternal,
Yeah.
it can still suffer immensely in hell through this temporary yatna day
Right.
without even the relief of death. That's pretty intense. It really makes you think about the impact of every choice we make.
Yeah.
Okay, so that kind of leads into this next idea of spiritual suicide, right?
Atmahatya.
So it's not that the soul actually dies physically,
Right.
but it can be harmed spiritually
By not taking the right
for
path.
not taking the right path. Yeah.
And the speaker talks about how rare and precious human birth is
Right.
compared to all these other life forms,
Yeah.
like insects, animals. They're all experiencing so much suffering.
Yeah.
It suggests that we have this unique opportunity as humans to grow spiritually.
Wow.
The soul, over many, many lifetimes, is longing for this human birth.
Yeah.
And the speaker says it makes all these promises. When I get a human body, I'm going to be devoted. I'm going to do all these things.
Right. So many chances. And then finally you get this human birth.
And then what happens?
And then what happens?
Sometimes we squander it.
Yeah.
And the speaker compares getting a human body to getting a loan from Thakurji.
Wow. A loan? A loan of a human body.
A loan facilitated by the 5 elements.
The 5 elements,
Yeah.
right? Earth, water, fire, air, ether.
Exactly. And they're expecting purity in return.
Wow. It's like a responsibility
Yeah.
to use this body to purify these elements.
Exactly.
So how do we repay that loan? How do we achieve liberation?
Kunz. Right. So the speaker talks about going on pilgrimages, chanting the names of the divine,
Mm-hmm.
associating with saintly people, listening to these sacred stories,
Yeah.
doing our duties.
Okay.
And if we fail to purify those elements,
Mm-hmm.
the speaker says that leads to, negative consequences.
Right. So it all comes back to that responsibility, right?
Yeah. And this brings us back to the guru.
The guru.
Yeah. Described as Plavsu Kalpam Guru Karandar, like a guide who can help us navigate this whole spiritual journey and reach liberation.
Right, like a raft across the ocean of existence.
Exactly.
So how do we find that guru?
Well, the speaker points out that even scriptures like the Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktamala, Ramcharitmanas can be considered gurus.
Okay.
And so can those who explain them truthfully. So it's not just about finding a person. It's also about finding the right teachings
Yeah.
that resonate with you.
Okay, so we might have that human birth, we might find the right guidance, the right teachings, and still not achieve that spiritual realization.
Right. And the speaker says that's like spiritual suicide.
Whoa.
It's like trapping and killing the soul in that cycle,
Right.
even though it doesn't physically die.
Wow, that's powerful. So how do we prevent that spiritual suicide?
So the discourse concludes by talking about the true essence of Guru Diksha, or initiation. It's about first receiving the right direction, Disha,
Okay.
from a wise guide, someone whose teachings you can fully embrace
Right.
and follow. And the speaker mentions Guru Purnima
Yeah.
as an auspicious time
Right.
for those considering this path. So it seems like finding that right guidance is really the crucial first step.
Yeah. Wow, we've covered so much ground. It's amazing how much is packed into this one discourse.
Yeah, we've explored the idea of achieving divine vision through singing, the impact of stories and music,
Right.
the beauty of the divine form, and that vital role of a guru in guiding us towards spiritual freedom and away from that, spiritual harm.
Yeah. I think it gives us all a lot to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For our listeners, what really resonated with you about these different ways to connect with the divine?
Yeah. And how does this whole idea of spiritual suicide change how you think about, the purpose of life?
Yeah. It's a powerful concept. We encourage you to keep reflecting on these ideas.
Yeah, maybe even revisit those songs and stories that were mentioned and see what resonates with you.
What questions do you have?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as we wrap up today's deep dive, here's a thought for you to consider. Given the preciousness of human life that was emphasized,
Yeah.
What steps could you take on your own journey
Yeah.
to seek greater awareness, maybe even that guidance that feels right for you?
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.
We'll see you on the next deep dive.